We were thinking this old man is not really giving me any clear answer. He says solar energy is renewable, but there are some issues. Wind, geothermal, nuclear, water, everything is renewable, and yet it's not all as clean as we want. So what is it about the future then? What are the energy sources of the future? Just tell me who the winner is among all these candidates. Well, so those that we looked at are the major candidates for the title of energy source of the future, and the winner is ding dong. You need some drum roll, and the answer is unclear right now. There is not one big winner, and there doesn't have to be, right? If they're all clean and they can be made cleaner, they're all sustainable and have some issues, then we just need to solve the problems and use all of them wherever necessary. There are places where there is geothermal but not enough sun. There are places where there is a lot of wind but not enough sun, or geothermal, and so on and so forth. And some places nuclear is considered very unsafe. Place like Japan, where there are a lot of earthquakes and tsunamis, maybe that's not the best place for nuclear, and so on and so forth. There is not one single energy source that fulfills all the requirements, because what we would really like, of course, is a source that's not too expensive either. It doesn't run out, as we already said, and it isn't dangerous. Of course, it shouldn't emit any greenhouse gases and is always there for us. So it's renewable, and no matter what the weather is, there should be some form of energy. So maybe you need to have storage, so that solar energy during the day is fed into a battery and you can use it at night. Wind is blowing at some point, you store the energy in a battery, and there are many ways to store energy, by the way. But as you've seen, there is always a catch. What are the other ways of storing energy? I'll give you one little cute example. Let's say you have a lot of solar energy or wind energy. You can use the energy to take some water and put it on a hill, a real hill or an artificial hill. Of course, artificial hill, you have to be careful about how you build it and how expensive it is and so on. If you put water on top, then when there is no wind or solar, you can just let it flow down and run your turbines, just like we did in hydroelectric thermal station, hydroelectric power stations, by releasing water from the dam and running turbines, right? So there are many ways in which you can store it. When you push water up the hill and use it as storage, is called pumped hydro. It's another word for you. So there's not one single sort of energy that does it all. We need to combine different sorts so that they can compensate for one another's weaknesses. It's a bit like the Smurfs. We mentioned the Smurfs in the beginning, but if you don't know, don't worry about it. One Smurf is smart and one is strong. One is handy, and together they can take on Gargamel. That's the one reason why we still need coal and natural gas till we are completely clean in terms of energy production. You can say a lot about coal and natural gas, but not that they are unreliable, because if you have a stock of coal and natural gas, you can run a power plant day and night. Good weather or bad weather, fossil fuels are there for us. Even when solar power stations and wind turbines are going quiet, every energy source can have its pros and cons, but fossil fuels can serve as a transition from dirty energy to clean energy, and while we transition, we need to use the dirty energy because there is no other choice. But developments are happening quickly. Technology is getting better and better. Solar cells are getting smaller, cheaper, more efficient, and so on, better materials, better recyclable, and so on. And that's why solar power stations are getting bigger and bigger, and wind turbines are getting taller and taller. And that's why you will notice solar panels and electric cars popping up all around you. Maybe your parents have a hybrid car or an electric car. You are getting better and cheaper. They are getting better and cheaper energy sources, and especially renewable ones, and cars, EV cars as well. So more people buy them and more companies make them. Every company wants to be the best, and so the products just keep getting better and better. But you have to keep an eye, because sometimes the companies tell you that this is very clean and safe, but sometimes they lie because they are making money, profit. If you want a good job when you're older, you will be better off getting into the solar panel business than the oil industry for sure. If you want to be filthy rich, you would better focus on inventing a super battery that can store lots of energy and always supply energy. You won't be the only one who's trying to do it, though. All over the world, scientists and companies are looking for the best way to store as much energy as possible in as small a battery as possible. If you look at your cell phone, the actual phone is on a little chip, but the battery is a big one. So making the battery smaller and smaller is a big challenge, is a big opportunity to make money as well. So that electric cars will have to recharge a lot less often in the future, and the miles you get from one charge will be long, so that you can go from one place to another without worrying about running out of battery, so that even planes can become electric, and so that we can store wind and solar energy for later use. Store it, and then we can finally say farewell to fossil fuels. But everyone will have to do their bit, as we will see. So here, the award for the most reliable, and you want to see the award for the quietest. Windmills make a lot of energy, and solar panels can be sitting there quietly, and geothermal can be quiet as well, and so on. The oldest one, fossil fuels, the cleanest one. Which one is the cleanest despite all the shortcomings? Which one will be the cheapest? Sorry about that. I should cover my mouth when I cough into the microphone. The most inexhaustible source of energy, you want to find the safest. Is it going to be nuclear, solar, wind, water, thermal, geothermal, bioenergy? What is the strongest and what is the dirtiest? What is the most dangerous and the most expensive one and the most earth-shaking invention? The dirtiest right now is of course coal, but there are dirtier ones called shale oils and so on that we'll touch on a little bit later on. So with that, we finish this nice chapter on energy from water and wind, and now we will talk a little bit about the politics, the people who do not understand, or on purpose they deny that climate change is happening, or that there are impacts caused by human activities on greenhouse gases, and that causes polar bears to suffer, and so on and so forth. In the other section already we have talked about the politics of climate change, but you may not follow all the sections in this series of podcasts, so we'll discuss this here, so that even if you follow this particular section, section 11, you should get a fairly complete view of climate change, climate impacts, climate solutions, and climate politics. Unfortunately, everything humans do requires energy and hence emissions, but also everything we do has some politics in it. What you want is not the same thing as what I want, and what you worry about is not the same thing I worry about, whether you care about the rich and poor, or whether I care about the poor and the rich, and so on and so forth. So we have to deal with it, and we have to find ways to solve the problem, because the impacts are there and climate change is happening. Just because we don't agree with the science doesn't mean Mother Nature will care. She will not say, oh, my poor human beings don't agree about climate change, so I'll stop changing climate. That's not how it works. So we have to be wise and find solutions, and we'll come and discuss politics. And that's almost the last section, and we'll look at a bit of climate bingo before we end this book. Okay, see you back in a little bit, children.